Hello again, welcome back. And back by popular demand, more about incidents and the lessons we can draw from them. The couple I've run through so far have involved what I tend to think of as a what's the worst that can happen mindset. The one I want to talk about today doesn't, I don't think, but there is a sense of not ignorance as such, but unknowing, if you like. This one happened not so long ago, July 2013, in Quebec, in Canada, and specifically in the small town of Lac-Mégantic. And it involved a train with 74 tank cars filled with Bakken crude oil. That day, the engineer had been having trouble with one of the locos pulling this train, and when he pulled up for the night and set the brakes and got a taxi into town where he was staying, the taxi driver said he was covered in droplets of oil. It turned out later that there had been a piston broken in one of the diesel engines. And what happened was that during the night, locals noticed fire coming from the same loco, in fact, and called the fire brigade. The fire brigade had been taught that when they were responding to a fire on a locomotive that had been left running so that it would power the air brakes, the first thing they had to do was turn the engine off because they would not be able to deal with the fire in the engine of the loco with the engine still running. So they turned the engine off, put the fire out, and went away. They were doing what they'd been told to do. And in fact, although the engineer was criticised, he had done little wrong, I don't think. Anyway, without the loco's brakes, the handbrakes that were set on the train turned out to be insufficient to stop the train rolling down what was a fairly gentle incline. But with that many tank cars holding that much crude, weighing that much, it quickly built up speed until in the town of Lac-Mégantic it found a curve that it was going way too fast to negotiate. So the train derailed, as is the common way of things. Those tank cars concertinaed, several of them ruptured, and some of them exploded and basically leveled several blocks in the middle of the town of Lac-Mégantic, killing 47 people. Now, the response to this was quite interesting as well. Up until that point, a lot of the major unit train accidents in North America had involved TIH materials, toxic by inhalation. I'm thinking particularly of the Mississauga accident in Ontario, which led, in fact, to the development of responsible care by the Canadian chemical industry. But also the minor accident derailment in North Dakota in 2002 and the Graniteville incident in South Carolina in 2005. It all involved particularly chlorine or ammonia, and that's what responders were worried about. They hadn't worried about crude oil before. And so a lot of the regulatory response was to look at the cargo. What was wrong with the cargo that caused this? I have to say that when I first saw the footage of it, crude oil doesn't tend to explode with that force. But this was fairly light crude, probably with in-train gas as well. And it may be, as it turned out, that it should have been classed as Class 3 packing group 2 rather than packing group 3. Although, in fact, that would have made no difference whatsoever because they would still use the same tanks for it. And there was a question posed about this focus on the cargo, which was, if you have a passenger train derailment and people get killed, you don't blame the passengers for the accident. Why are you blaming the crude oil for this accident? The accident was caused by factors that are not related to the cargo. On the other hand, there's a lot more crude oil and other Class 3 flammables like ethanol moving around in big volumes by rail in North America now. And so there has been a response in terms of the phasing out, the accelerated phase out of the old DOT 111s, which these were, in favour of stronger and better protected tanks. There was also a look at the safety issues involved in the carriage of crude oil and ethanol by train in bulk. And that has sort of expanded rather to cover all class 3 substances and by all modes in all volumes. So it's not just crude oil in a huge tank car, but a little bottle of nail varnish. And that's an example of regulatory creep that happens now and again. But to go back to the Lac-Mégantic incident, 47 people died, and nobody really did anything wrong, but the fire crew were not aware or did not take account of the fact that the response that they'd been trained to do would have put the train in such a state that it was inevitable that it would run away. And once it ran away, it's completely out of control. Anyway, again, there's plenty online about that, and the story in terms of regulatory response is still ongoing. So keep reading HCB and you'll keep finding out about what's happening. Great to see you all. See you next week.